Alright, let's talk about the CAS review. Seeing as you can expect it to be used to support anti-trans legislation for the next while, and it's already being used in the UK to justify suspending trans teens' access to healthcare. So here's what you need to know about it. Basically, the UK's NHS commissioned a review of England's model of care for trans youth. For the review, they tapped pediatrician Hilary Cass, who journalist Aaron Reed reported apparently follows some extremist anti-trans sources, including an LGB group that believes in dropping the T, and this extremely divorced man, who regularly tweets shit like this. Shockingly, the report ended up concluding that the evidence for gender-affirming care is, quote, weak, and that clinicians can't determine with any certainty who will detransition. Several news outlets uncritically parroted the report's findings with alarmist headlines. I mean, holy shit. But let's actually break some of these findings down. First, AP has reviewed 27 studies involving 8,000 teens and adults who had transgender surgeries. They found, on average, that 1% expressed regret, and that for some, that regret was temporary. So even if you agree with the CAS review that we don't have gold standard evidence on this, the evidence that does exist is very supportive of providing gender-affirming care. Speaking of evidence, let's tackle the CAS review calling existing studies weak. CBC's Lisa Johnson did a fantastic job contextualizing the report by actually speaking to doctors who provide gender-affirming care. They told her the gold standard of evidence is a randomized, double-blind, controlled trial with a placebo, which, when it comes to gender-affirming care, would not only involve huge ethical concerns, but it would literally be impossible in the case of something like a puberty blocker where you know if you're on it or not. Even things like antibiotics and painkillers for kids might not be based on quote-unquote robust evidence, because pediatric medicine specifically often involves imperfect evidence. In fact, the doctors told CBC that 75% of medications prescribed to children are used off-label because they were never tested on children. In addition to all of this, a lack of randomized clinical trials is not an excuse to deprive someone of care, especially when the stakes are this high. But that's exactly how this report is being used, and that is a choice that will have many harmful implications. What do you think of all this?